take this off because let me explain why, and Caroline and a lot of people go to it to become transparent. We keep on saying the more you give, the more you receive. Do you understand how it works? In the Chinese section, I just explained it. If this is your magnetical, which is giving, and this is your gravitational field, which is taking, gravitates. The more you give, which is give away, the more you open the field of gravity to receive. That's simple. And the more you receive, the stronger the mass becomes, that you have more to expose to receive more. That's simple it is. So when you give the intention to serve universal community, the more you're exposed to receive from the dimension you're not aware of. So then it's very easy to create a spaceship for any dimension in the universe. If you understand this, and the unconditional give to humanity is love. When you love someone, when you love your child, you give unconditionally. It doesn't matter what he does, because this is your job. This is how you're born to be. So the more you give of a lower strength, the more gravitational field to attract to receive is available. This is then becomes what we call, you become transparent. If you put that level in that level, because you receive enough to become transparent. Because you're only aware of the field when you have a different imbalance. When you become imbalanced, you are of the same. So when we talk about giving and taking and loving, all it means, we open the channel to give. And then you find out how much you open up, the more you give. Because the more fields are available for you to receive. You gravitate, because now the other fields, which have their essence in giving, they give of the higher strength of them, because now they are there to engage with what you released for giving. And you see, so easy. So you cannot lose, you always win. Then you wish to be part of bigger society to serve human society has a limitation. The spaceship is a terminology for joining a higher order. Why do you want to go from home to school? To get educated, to elevate your knowledge. Why does man is in the process of entering universal community? Because now is ready to learn more. Because is learn more, you can share more. If any of you understand this process, you have entered the realm of creation. Because then you decide what you want to create in according to justice and correct conduct. So when next time you start thinking about creating a plasma, teaching. The more you teach, the more you receive. Because when you share, your openness to receiving of the totality from every aspect. When we teach here, we don't open to the humanity, we open to universal community. And that's what it counts. This morning or today, I explain in a very, very easy way how, as a human race, when you go into space, in every part of the universe, we are connected to each other through the amino acid connection. One feels in danger or something is wrong in a condition, the rest of you across the universe feels. But on the other hand, as I explained this morning, you itself, the earth and the human being of it, was created from the totality of the universal community. That's how it came to be, because that's what it came to stand. So now you are connected to universal community. The more you give, the more you elevate to the next step to understand the next level. A lot of you look for the space travel. In time, you'll understand. Only thing you learn from me is the elevation of the soul to the realm that you decide, due to your interaction, where you want to be in anywhere in the universe. So, as I said this morning in the teaching, you have the blood, you have the lymph, and you have what they call the current or nerves. And the flow of the plasma of the emotion which carries the blood to physicality, which is in the lymph, decides what is going to be where. A cell of a heart, as we said this morning, or a cell of a nail. So now, as we explained, in the universal condition, the gravitational magnetic field of the plasma of the universe is your lymph. The emotion is your intention. And the difference between the two, if you can direct it the right way, instead of being a cell in the nail at your tip of your toe, there'll be a point in a water physicality in a space. Because then you manifest yourself as the being at that point, what was. The only difference is you replace the body of the man with the body of the universe. There is no difference. You dictate the point of manifestation. You dictate the way you want to manifest. You want to manifest transparent as a lymph, or you want to be a transparent as the cell which creates the retina of your eye, that it becomes transparent enough that the light goes through it, that through it you can understand your environment. So man, if he's looking for transparency, has already learned it. When you look to the eye of a man, you see through his face, through his emotion, because you see through his soul, through his eye. So man already knows in his gene how to be transparent. That's what Caroline was speaking. If in your eye there wasn't a transparent issue, no light would have gone through that you could see. It's you to understand how transparent you become, that you allow the totality of the light of the man to pass the body embodiment of the physicality. Then you decide where and how you manifest yourself. As I said in the teaching of this morning, what you call a spaceship is for those who understand this level of understanding of physicality. If you understand the order of correct conduct, you do not need a ship or any form to travel the span of the universe. So, do we need health, medical care in space? when you know how to control everything yourself through the strength of the plasma, through your thoughts, which, as we said in the Chinese teaching, your emotion in connection with your soul has already dictated your physicality, because the physicality led to the creation of the emotion and the soul itself. It's not teaching control of physicality, what you call health, is teaching the exact amount of emotion to lead to the creation of the physicality the way you want, if you want to be physical. So this goes back to the same thing. You add to the plasma of your magnetical, you become, because this is your physicality, that's how you manifest in respect to outside. If you want to be less of, you go back. And you can always add through your energy to become transparent or non-transparent. In respect to the environment which you are operating. In space technology, you learn this. I've spoken this before. You're there, you can be seen. If you create the wrong strength, you'll be more visible. If you create the right strength, as there is no friction between your gravitational magnetic field and the environmental magnetic field, there is no manifestation. There is no physicality. We are aware of the existence of the Earth in respect to Sun because the gravitational magnetic field of the Sun, when it interacts with the gravitational magnetic field of the Earth, being of two different strengths, creates a friction, we see the light. If we make these two the same, there is no interaction, no visibility. You'll never see the Earth till you hit it. Now you know how to make yourself invisible. Now you know how to make yourself visible. Understanding that you have to create that what we call equal gravitational magnetic field between the two, because this is MAGRAPH. If your MAGRAPH is equal to the MAGRAPH of this, there is no interaction, there is no friction, there is no transparency. There is nothing to see, totally transparent. This is how you can see through and across the universe, because the fields are all in balance. So there is no friction. Very small residual is in the book number 3, or number 2, the structure of the light. That the balance or near balance of the magnetic gravitational field of the universe gives us enough light that it creates but transparency that we can see through it. So you can do the same. Create enough, release enough, and you can control it with your emotion, nothing else. Because you, through your emotion in the center, decide how much you release that at the point of interaction, what appears. If this appearance at this point can lead with a cancer in your lung, you just need to move a little bit higher or lower in emotion. The interaction does not take place. No physicality, tangibility. This is what I said. Within seconds, you can release any illness, because all you do with the intention, you release into the whole field of existence. You change the envelope of the whole structure. Only cancer can be if The environment allows it in interaction with itself to exist. If you change the environment, it cannot exist. If you desire to leave the physicality, I cannot stop you. But his desire is to be physical and be here. You can always change the wish, the emotion, and with it will change the structure. You can point it out. I've said in all the teaching for this structure to be inside you or outside you. And if you can do it outside you, then you can position it the way you like. If physicality of acceptance to you is a spaceship, you build your system. The only way you do this is to give unconditionally, and the unconditional is what I create is a purpose of serving and not to be served. And that's what maybe for the first time you understand what we've written under the Cash Foundation. We are here to serve, not to be served. Because when you serve, the more you give, and by giving, the more you receive. That with that, you can change the strength that you can give more to reach the level of the Creator. Then there is no illness in space. No one in space dies of illness except man. Because you have chosen a specific strength of gravitational magnetic field which attach itself to the emotion. In space, everyone dies. Accident or decision to terminate, to give to the others that I do not want to have any. We don't die in space because we are ill with cancer. We terminate a life because what we do, we convert the whole of our gravitational into magnetical, which means we only give for the others to exist, and that's the termination of life. You decide to stay 1 million years or 10,000 years is your decision. When you feel you reach the point of maturity that you can give the totality, you decide to let the spring go. That's it. And then you find out through it, you create new life. I made man to the image of myself. And then you understand one of the 99 attributes of the Creator is to be generous, to be forgiving, and to be the giver. Because by giving from the totality leads to creation of new structure, new life. But then through it, it creates the same structure, because once you give, you have to take. This is what we say, the more you give, the more you receive. Then you decide the point of physicality. Maybe for the first time, man understands some of the attributes of God through the operation of the plasma. You are afraid of dying on this planet, where in space we give to have no existence that will lead to creation of more. And here, because you're afraid of dying, you die of it because you want to hang on to all of it. And unfortunately, all is not good enough. This is what say unconditional love. It means to release that where you release the interaction of the fields of different strength of giving leads to creation of another life, another plasma, another existence, and further the purpose of serving the universal community. Maybe for the first time you understand. When you hear, I made man in the image of myself, it means I've given the totality for creation of more to be able to give. Any question? You never die, ever die in the space of any disease. Disease is the pitfall of man, which is connected to his amino acid and his greed to take more. Any questions?
I have a question, Mr. Kesh.
Who's speaking?
Brett.
Oh, hi, Brett. You're still alive.
Yeah, I'm still alive.
Nice to hear you.
Can't kill me yet. I have work to do.
Oh, I tried to save you long enough, boy. You brought me nightmares.
My question is, what happens when parents use a surrogate mother to have a child? What kind of issues arise when that happens?
Pardon?
When parents have a surrogate mother birth their child?
Doesn't matter. The love of the creation is there. Doesn't matter if you're born on Earth, on Mars, or whatever.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like the blood from the surrogate mother, the emotion transfers to the child, or the
So that's your condition. What's the difference between a Rolls Royce, a Mini, and a motorbike? It still takes it from A to B. Physicality of the body is for carrying the soul, nothing to do how it's done.
but can the emotional issues from the DNA and RNA be transferred to the child to the surrogate?
So that's what you are. You're a Rolls Royce with 2 cylinders. What's the difference? You still work.
All right.
This is the excuses for those who find a way not to give or find they are slightly different to give. I remember I was 6 years old, and there was only one school in the whole north of Tehran. So we had to attend it. There was no other way to go to school. And this school, I didn't know at that time till after 6 months in the school. Half of our children, half of my classmates were all orphans because there was an orphanage few kilometers, and this was the only school. But they never told no one they are orphans. They came in with the love to play. They were there. We never knew. Only the principals and headmasters knew that most of these children around us were orphans. They loved the same, they played the same, and most of my memories of my childhood with them were so beautiful. Till when we went for New Year celebration, which is 21st of March, and the party was held in an orphanage. And then I stood on the podium. There's a picture of it somewhere in my family. I was one of the top students, so the students, top students were given prizes. A little boy, 6 year old, getting a prize. When I looked at that picture years later, most of the people standing next to me were orphans, but never changed anything. The way we cared, the way we played. So it's you who decides which environment you are or you want to be. Otherwise, the God is blind to the total beauty of the man. It's the man who decides what he wants to do with it. Some of these students, for years, we've been in touch with, even when I finished the school. Because then I realized one of the most closest friends of mine was an orphan. And to me, it was meaningless. How could you have not to have a father? We got to understand the condition comes from us and nobody else. It's us who creates the conditions. And when we can control the conditions to be unconditional, you'll find out there is no condition. exit us. And this is your problem. Any questions? I wish I could read that Chinese. What does that say in Chinese? Pardon? Is it still from Chinese workshop? No, still flashing is there.
No, it shouldn't be on.
Oh yeah, it is from Chinese workshop. He never changed the live stream. I still would like to know what it says. It's a beautiful language. Any questions, or shall we call it a day? I think there's a lot of soul searching going on. One of your biggest problems in trying to be transparent is one question. And that is your biggest question. And it will stay one of the man's biggest dilemmas. And that is very simple. Maybe I can put it in words. Do I love enough to be a creator? Because when you love, it means you give unconditionally. By giving unconditionally, you receive so much that you don't want to be the only thing to take, but you give, and with it, it comes the decision of you to give to the totality. If you understand this, you have completed maturity of the life. And if you don't understand it, you can carry on, be worried about the food of tomorrow and the pancake of the next day, or if you wear a clothing. This is what Caroline goes on it, and we explained it so many times. Love means to give unconditionally. And by giving unconditionally, as I explained, if you haven't understood it, means if in a physical term, or I should have done it the other way because you're used to it, to understand it, not to confuse those, is this. Go back on the same thing. If it, as you give unconditionally, you open yourself to give so much that in so many ways there is nothing but to take because you're given, and you find out your giving becomes your taking, and that is to give, and that's how you end life in the universe. You give so much that you take so much, and only leaves one condition to give, and that's exactly what love means. Then what it is, you give the totality.
This is Denny.
Yes, Danny.
Hello, Mr. Kesh.
Where are you from, Danny?
I'm from the U.S. I live in Idaho.
Yes.
After you've given everything, does that include the soul?
That's the only thing you give, because then the soul gives the emotion and the physicality. Doesn't mean you go on the street and give your house and your curtains and the car. When you give from your soul, because the soul is the foundation of the creation of the emotion, and the feeder of the physicality, so you have no fear. Because the other souls accommodate you. Even if you try to commit suicide through your soul, you find out the other souls which are not prepared to receive will stop you from it. Because it means we don't want to take. You can make it available. But if I'm not taking, you can't give. That's why the universe is a peaceful place. Everybody takes as much as they need. That's why it can last a long time. Go back on what we just taught half an hour ago in the Chinese session. How the soul works, how the emotion is created from the physicality. And that's why maybe what just Brad said, I wonder, are you, Brad, one of those that you ask such a question? Or
No,
do you feel this way?
no,
Pardon?
I was watching a TV show last night and a question popped in my head.
Ah, you on your television and popping in the head. Too many things pops in your head. Your head and the popping in is a big commotion for me sometimes. Oh, you're going to teach us anyway. You become a teacher.
You have to see and watch.
One day we learn. You have two entities, an egg and a sperm, lead to creation of a new life. Its condition is preset. If you have foster parents, if you have another womb which brings you up, the essence was there when you started. All it is change of environment, which with it will interact and create a new environment for existence. Now, your lucky part is you not only have two, now you're part of three, which means you receive more than your share. A lot of people then wish they were fostered people. They would have been fostered somewhere else. Maybe in halfway after 3 months, they change the womb to another one to have more of others. Because then you receive more. A child goes to his mom. This is a true story. Caroline knows it. She starts laughing. And she says to his mom, just before Christmas, he says, Mom, why don't you and Dad divorce? The mother says, why? Why should we divorce? He says, most of my friends, their parents are divorced. They get 2 Christmas presents. I get only 1. So why don't you want to be more divorced parents, more fosters, that you get more and more and more? In a way, it's greed of a child. On the other hand, it shows the state of the man. Wanting more, even if it brings suffering of separation to the parent. Self-centeredness. Any other question? That's my purpose. Till that day, I have to teach. And when some of you get enlightened to reach the level of messengers of God, then you will teach. You've got to realize something which is very different, and a lot of you have not realized. Those who teach around the Keshe Foundation as teachers, now that we have opened, Because you're sharing the knowledge, the enlightenment, the way the prophets of the past have done, unconditionally, I've seen you teaching, you have already reached the level of the prophets of the past in sharing of the knowledge and the soul. So you have already been elevated. As Caroline said, if your fear was not to teach or be afraid of teaching, it means your soul is not ready to reach that level of what you call prophets. The structure is not to create, as I said, a new religion. The structure is set to create, as we said, one nation, one planet, one race. And to be that, it means to have people who are conditionally give from their souls for the rest to become one. And that's the attributes of the prophet of God. So we don't teach and we don't bring one prophet, which means sharing of the knowledge unconditionally. Those who are chosen and share unconditionally have already been given the gift of past. Any other question? No, why? It means to exist in more. It means you haven't understood yet. You don't die. You miss the point. You miss the bus. Get off and get back on again. I'll explain to you where you missed the bus. Some of you understood.
I didn't get that question on live stream. Let me just repeat it for live stream. Dying to give others life in the universe, does it mean to be out of existence, was the question.
Yes, and I said no. It means you didn't understand the teaching. What I just said. If this is the structure of your totality, including your soul and your emotion and your physicality, as I explained, the more you give, the more you receive. And in the structure of the universe, what does it mean? Comes to the point when you're given so much that you receive nothing but receiving. And in receiving, you can not only exist because you need the balance. So you're released as totality to become the givers. And so what happens? You disappear as one, but manifest as many. I made God in the image of man, in the image of myself, and is in the writing. I made man to create children to love me, that I can spread my love across the universe. Now you see what it means. There's now more of you. Children without sex, through the love of God. And when I said that to somebody, they couldn't understand. Maybe they understand. Physicality is the problem of the man. These are the children of the soul of the universe, not physicality. If they decide in one point to manifest themselves in respect to their environment, that's their problem. That's their choice. Because at that point, they decide to give. And then you understand maybe how creation exists on this planet and that is. Even it looks accidental. Would you like to be on planet Zeus? This is what you have to understand. And this is where the man is trapped on this planet in the village of the earth. There. But the process carries on in the rest of the universe as it stands. Everything is in there. You don't need a system. Understand something very, very interesting. You can change the structure of your existence from giving to taking only. And that's stealing. And that's what you find, you be imprisoned in your own structure. And this is part of the problem, which is habitual to the matter state at the points of materialist condition, and not in the universal. Only when they don't understand the beauty of God. If you understand the condition is to give, you find out it's done. This is a discussion I had past few days that I explained in the teaching today in a very soft way. Now you understand this, that you can give more, and the more you give can come to the point that